tutare ture Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Ture Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Ture Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha Om Tare Ture Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha.
Welcome to the Lama Live live stream event with Lama Tsultrim Allione. Greetings to everyone joining us today, whether you're with us live in this moment or catching up through the recording later. I'm Dreame, supporting you from Poland. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to gather with you every single week, connecting across distances and sharing in the wisdom that Lama Tsultrim generously offers to us. At Tara Mandala, we are committed to being a welcoming, open, and safe community for practitioners and students of all cultures, races, religions, genders, sexual orientations, age, ability, and circumstances. With gratitude, I hand it over to Lama Tsultrim for today's session. May each of you benefit from our time together along with all beings. Thank you. We can see you, Lamala. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, all good. Thank you so much.
Are we on?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Had a little technical difficulty here in Costa Rica. It's not so stable, but it's very beautiful. I hope everyone is well and that you had a good week. And we continue to see lots of upheaval in our world. And that's why it's so important to have inner stability as much as possible. I this week had a friend who actually almost died here because she wasn't getting to a hospital and she really needed to be, and still a little dicey. She's had to do a 5-hour ambulance ride to San Jose. So it made me realize just how sort of fragile we all are in this world, and here we're pretty far from a lot of modern conveniences. However, we have our own minds, and if we can work with and stabilize our own minds, then no matter what situation we're in, we can be present in the best possible way. So I hope you can hear me okay. Let Dreame know if you can't. I'm on my phone now. And so let's take a moment and raise Bodhicitta. Bodhicitta can be understood either in its relative or absolute sense. So let's raise relative bodhicitta, which is understanding that sentient beings can't see their own face. They can't see their true nature because of the split from the ground of being. And therefore, they are and we are confused. And this causes suffering. And so the teaching I'm going to give today is about this. But let's raise the intention to be together for the benefit of ourselves and all those confused sentient beings, with the intention to listen to the teachings, to meditate on the teachings, to apply the teachings for the benefit of all beings. Thank you. Thank you so much. And so the generation of Bodhicitta is really important. And I wanted to point out to you a couple of programs that we're having now coming up that are important. And never sure that everyone knows about everything, so I want to point some things out. So one is that tomorrow, Lopin Carla Jackson Brewer, who has been studying with me since 1988, will be giving a talk on Martin Luther King Day. And she will be talking about radical bodhicitta. And I think we all kind of like to be radical. Remember when the word rad was popular, like awesome? So radical bodhicitta has a profound meaning. And so Lopin Carla is going to connect the teachings of Martin Luther King with our Buddhist teachings. And then she's also doing a program that she developed actually through Tara Mandala on equity, diversity, and inclusion. And that's over several weeks. I believe it's 9 sessions. And it will be a really personal, transformational journey, working with things like implicit bias, our own sort of inner ways that we hold prejudice, but we're maybe not aware of. And I think this is going to be really interesting because she's going to connect it with Buddhism and things like how the way we think things are not how they actually are. And so she developed this whole course, and it's going to be incredible to go through that process with Lopin Carla. She's also really fun and funny, and she's great to work with. She's super intelligent and professor at Rutgers University, and also has really been in the Dharma for a very long time. So the course that she's developed, I think, will be really interesting. And I want to encourage you all to take it. And then I want to mention again that Sik Donzo, which is the treasury of precious meaning, or the precious treasury, you could say, of profound words. Sik is just words, and then Dun is meaning, and Zo is treasury. And this is one of Longchenpa's teachings. And so Longchenpa lived in the 1300s and really brought all the streams of Dzogchen together that had initially come into Tibet, at least most prominently in the 8th century. And then they kind of get all dispersed. And so he brought it all together and codified it. But he's also incredibly poetic. These will be extremely profound teachings. We kind of can't believe that he's allowing people to come without prerequisites, but he is. And so this is a really precious opportunity that will take place from February 14th to March 20th, and then it will begin again in the fall. There'll be a second session to bring it to conclusion. I'm definitely going to be there. I've studied these teachings in many different ways and places. And I just can't believe that we're actually going to get these teachings live. And Azam Yalsi Rinpoche, who's giving them, is very learned. He's the head of the Shedra, or he was, at Seichen Monastery, the monastery of Dingo Khyentse Rinpoche. And so he'll be an amazing teacher of this. So I just wanted to make sure you knew about those things. One more thing. This is the 30th anniversary of Tara Mandala. Now I can say it is the 30th because we're in 2024. And Tara Mandala, we found the land in 1993, but we actually moved onto the land and began to have retreats in 1994. So we're doing a big event in the middle of the summer, and I will be there giving the Machik empowerment, the Machik Lupton Chut empowerment from the Rinchen Trengwa, which I was authorized to give by Lama Wangdu, who was recently cremated at Tara Mandala, and he gave me his empowerment torma. It's called the Torma Empowerment, and he gave me his empowerment torma. So I'll be doing that, and then there'll be other wonderful events, including a giant cake for the 30th anniversary, and it's the first weekend in August, and it sort of shoulders both the Magyu gathering and the Ursulnintik gathering. Ursulnintik's before and Magyu's after. So we did that on purpose so that people could stay after Ursulnintik or come earlier before the Magyu. And Remain, I believe, will put links to all that in. I'm not sure that the whole description of the 30th is ready to be posted yet. So I'm not sure she has that, but you have the dates now. I believe it's August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, that first weekend in August. Okay. I'm just wondering how everybody is and where you are. I love the feeling of how spread out we are, and yet we can be together here. It's such a beautiful thing. Beautiful, beautiful thing. So let's just take a moment and feel each other. Feel that community. The community of Sangha that's all around the world. And feel support from this Sangha in whatever you're going through. And please feel free to put into the comments any prayers that you would like to request. If you feel okay about doing that, if you have something hard going on, you could ask for some support from this community. And I'm sending out heart streams to all of you right now. Thank you. I have to change things on my phone to be able to see your comments. Wisconsin. I guess that congratulations is about the 30th anniversary, yeah. Finland, wow. Hanna, I will be in Sweden in October. Hope to see you there. Thank you, Jen, turning the prayer wheel of the conjure. That's all the oral teachings of the Buddha. Silver Surfer, Ron, you're always here. Okay, multiple teeth, ouch. Brazil, wow. Marin. Chromo, that's close. Finishing your thesis. Nonlinear time and trauma, that's interesting. Texas, Vienna, Brooklyn. Okay. I have to switch screens, but I will keep an eye on this. So I thought instead of leading a meditation at the beginning like I usually do, that we would kind of meditate as I'm teaching, because there's definitely some things to meditate on that I am going to teach today. I hope that sounds good to you. So these are, again, teachings from the Semde lineage that preceded the lineage of Semde in Tibet. These are the teachers from Oddiyana and India. And so Oddiyana is this mysterious place that we think was around the Swat Valley in northeast Pakistan. Some say it may have been in Kashmir, but I think there's still more archaeological evidence that it was in that area of the Swat Valley, which is now, of course, completely taken over. But at one time, it was a great tantric place, and there were many women teachers there, to the point where it was called the land of the Dakinis. And in this lineage that I've been teaching from, there are 6 women, and they're often the teachers of princes or kings. And there's such an interesting sort of sociological mix in this lineage. There's so-called prostitutes, there's monks, there's Mahasiddhas that live with dogs, Kukaraja, who we did just a little while ago. And that's how Tantra was. Tantra was really taking the teachings and taking Buddhism out of the monastic elite into the lay community and into people that would be considered to be low caste, or not people that should be mixing with kings and priests and so on, such as prostitutes or winemakers or pig herders. And but they were all together and they were all practicing together. So it was a big opening and kind of breakdown of a lot of those social barriers. The Buddha also, and the monastic community also, really broke down a lot of those social barriers by saying that anyone could become ordained as a monk. And in fact, some of his most honored and most dignified disciples were from the so-called untouchable castes or the lower castes. And that was pretty revolutionary what the Buddha did in that sense. And then the tantric tradition that arrived about 800, 900 years after the Buddha took that further and included a lot more women and women teachers. And also in the tantric period, we begin to have female Buddhas and images of female Buddhas, such as Prajnaparamita. And also the Dakinis came in with the tantric period, and so on. And so these teachings are from Oddiyana, and they're very pithy biographies of these 21 teachers that preceded Vimalamitra, who took them to Tibet, along with Sri Simha. And so it gives their essential teachings that awoke them to the ultimate understanding. And then the songs or the expressions of that realization. And I received the Tibetan from Adriano Clemente, who translated these. I don't know, but I think it's the first translation of these that was ever done. And it's in the book called The Supreme Source, a really wonderful book. And that's when I first met them. And then I got curious about the Tibetan for these and like, well, what was that actually in Tibet? And so I looked at the Tibetan. I have been looking at the Tibetan and then sort of retranslating and reteaching them according to how I understand them. And so we are up to the teacher called Rishi Bashita, and it's following Kukaraja, the lord of the dogs or the king of the dogs. And so it always begins with them asking the one that came before them for the essence of the teaching. So this begins, Rishi Bashita, whose father was Rishi Kumara and mother Zinma, was an expert in the 7 divisions of the Vedas. Wanting to perfect his wisdom and aspiring after the essential meaning, he asked the Lord of the Dogs, Kukaraja, for the essence of the teachings. Kukaraja summarized their entirety for him thus. So this is Kukaraja. And so I'll be looking at the Tibetan and also at the English that from Adriano's translation. So the first line he translated, Bodhicitta, beyond arising and ceasing. And let's see. So in Tibetan, it's Ke Gak Me Pe Changchup Sem. It's very short, very short. So K is birth, Gak is to cease, in other words, death, and then Me. So not birth, not death. And then sort of connecting that to Be Changchup Sem. So this is the word for bodhicitta, but you have to keep in mind that in the Dzogchen teachings, particularly in Semde, which is actually an abbreviation for Changchup Sem De, De meaning series, the word bodhicitta really means our primordial, unfabricated perfection, our natural awakeness. And this is a primary concept of Dzogchen, that we are already perfect and we are already awake. We just forgot. But we can remember. And that very remembering is effortless. There's no endeavor involved. There's no stress or strain. There's no working at it. In fact, the working at it is part of the problem. So this first line simply means that this Changshub Sam, the Bodhicitta mind, or the mind of awakening, and remember, mind here is not brain. This is awareness. This is that awareness which will be there when you die, and which was there before you were born. And so it's saying that it is unborn and unceasing. Ke kak me. Not born and not ceasing. So let's take a moment and feel into what is present right now that wasn't born when you were born and isn't going to die when you die. There is something. In fact, this is something that science hasn't been able to pinpoint, which is consciousness itself. So let's feel into our unborn, unceasing bodhicitta. And then the next line is Nangwa Rangshin Mepa Yin. So these are all really short little phrases and really interesting. So Nangwa, if you've been listening to me teach, you've probably heard me talk about Nang. Nang is usually translated as appearances, but it can be a verb. So in a way, our world, as we know it, is Nang-ing, because it's in constant change. When you look out at whatever you're seeing now, I'm seeing the house, the sky, some flowers, and the ocean beyond. When you look out like that, this is something that's presence-ing. It's a verb. It's not a solid thing, and it's not separate from your awareness. And that's the Nang. The Nang is all this phenomena of the senses and also thoughts. It's all the Nangma. So, Nang La Rangzhen. So Rangzhen is a also common Dzogchen word, and it means nature, like the nature of something. Rangzhen me Payin. So he translates that, the first line he translates as Bodhicitta is beyond arising and ceasing. I would say Bodhicitta is not born or ceasing, because it says mepa. It's not, doesn't say beyond, it says not. So bodhicitta isn't that. It's not whatever's born and dying, it's not that. And then the second line he translates as is vision. So that's how he's translating appearances. Vision that appears, that's no, even though it has no self-nature. So literally this means appearances, nature, not is. So he's saying that this appearing, this Nangma that is appearing doesn't have any rangzhen, any actual self-nature. In other words, it's not the solid noun that we think it is. It's not a reified, separate, discrete entity. None of it is. So let's meditate on that a little bit. That these appearances, the Nangma, have no self-nature. In other words, although we call them something and we experience them as something, they're actually not. Okay. So then, Gom, so that's the word for meditation, Gondu Mepe Changchup Sam. So he translates it, bodhicitta is beyond meditation, but it literally says Gomdu Me. It's not meditation. Changchup Sam, again repeating that word, Changchup Sam. So many times in the teachings, in Mahayana teachings, and also in the Dzogchen teaching, it will point out what things are not. And then that sort of naturally throws you into what they are. But rather than stating what they are, they state what they're not. Why do you think so? Why wouldn't you just state what they are? Why would you state what they're not? I'm interested what you have to say about that. Um, yeah. Because they're inherently empty. They have no self-nature, yeah. Beyond words, yeah, that's it, part of it. Yes, to avoid reification, Matteo. Yes, so this sort of habit, I guess you could say, or tendency to use negative language is because by saying what it's not, it throws you into hopefully the experience of what it is. But what it is, you don't want to solidify and reify. So you don't state so much what it is as what it's not. Yes, that's right, Marie. Okay, these are lots of good answers. Dennis, labeling, and it's arising the ground. It's not, yeah. Yeah, yeah, good. Okay, so Gumdu Mepe Changchup Sem. So now Gumdu is meditation, and then Mepa. So now it's meditation. Meditation, not Changchup Sem. So that is also really interesting because it's not meditation either. Or, I mean, quite literally what this says is non-meditation is Changchup Sem. Doesn't actually say is because the word yin isn't there, but it says Gompa Mepa is not meditation, and then Changchup Sem. So let's try to not meditate and experience Changchup Sem. So I think what this means is not efforting. You know, when we got, sometimes I say, okay, now let's meditate. And everyone kind of like, it's kind of like coming to attention in the military, sit up, straighten your back, fold your legs. Now that's meditation. So let's not meditate and be in Changchup Sem. Yeah. So the next line is Naljor Dewar Nyamo Tsun. Okay, so this line was really interesting when I looked it up because what he has is is the perfect conduct of the yogin who rests in bliss. But what it literally says is yogi, bliss, and then nyamo means like lying with a woman. It's a clear mo here. And tsun, a discipline. So he didn't put that at all. But that's what it says in the Tibetan. Nyalmo, as nyal is to lie down and mo is female. So this is obviously addressing the male yogi, heterosexual male. But the idea here, I believe, is that the discipline of the tsun, because that's the words that's used for like keeping your vow, keeping your discipline. The discipline of the yogi is the bliss of lying with a woman. So that would mean that, let's say, the experience of intimacy and that relaxation in that state, that is the discipline of the yogi. So that very forbidden thing for a monastic becomes a path of liberation, path of meditation. If it was female, heterosexual female, then it would be lying with a man. And if it was a homosexual relationship, it would be whatever, depending on male or female. Anyway, there's all those various gender options. But the main idea, I believe, here is that relaxation of intimacy, let's think about that and how that really actually brings you to a deep state of effortless openness. And perhaps that's what this is referring to. So that's a beautiful, beautiful and kind of unique line there. So that's what Kukaraja says to Rishi Bashita. And then Rishi Bashita perceived the nature of the absence of effort of his mind. So there's a lot of emphasis on the absence of effort here. And in fact, this year, I'm going to be teaching retreats about effortless presence. And I think for many of us who have had disciplines for many years that involved effort, effortlessness is kind of hard, right? It can be hard. So he's saying that Rishi Bashita perceived the nature of absence of effort of his mind. Then he perfectly understood the meaning of the primordial state and expressed his realization thus. Okay. So now this is his teaching, his little pith instruction after his little quick biography. His father was Rishi Kumara, his mother was Inma. He was an expert in the 7 Vedas, and that's all we really know about him from this. So what does he say? He says, Jungwanga, which is Jungwanga is the 5 elements. Namkhai Namkhai Ying, yeah. So that's profound. Namkhai Ying is the space or the dimension of the sky. So he's saying that the 5 elements actually have the nature of the sky. In other words, they're not solid either. And then it says su dzog. So dzog is the same word as in Dzogchen. Dzog means complete or perfect. So it's Dzogchen is the great perfection or the great completion. So the 5 elements are complete or complete within Namkhai Yang. So it means that they're not separate from that space. In other words, all of the elements are actually space. And we know this from quantum physics, that the things that we see as solid are actually 99.9% space. So let's meditate on that the 5 elements actually are space. Yeah. How is that for you? Like these things that we normally think of as solid, all the elements surround us, all the objects are actually space. It's kind of a relief, right? There's something relaxing about that experience of the solidity of the world as space. And it's actually true. It's scientifically true. Not that science is truth, but it is interesting when science coincides with the teaching. So then what? And just note that it actually says the 5 elements. It doesn't just say the elements. So I think it wants you to think about each element and how it's spaced. So maybe let's do that for a minute. Let's think about air. That's kind of easy to think of as space. But air also is the substance, like the wind is blowing now, I can feel it on my face. It's kind of making me blink. I'm feeling that wind in my eye. What if I experience that as space? Okay, now water. I can see water. I imagine some of you can see water, but if you can't see it, you know it's there and you have it in your body, a lot of it. So imagine that the water element is space. Yeah. Okay. And now fire. So I don't think most of us are not looking at fire, but maybe some of you in northern climates sitting in front of a fire, or you could open a wood stove and look at fire, or maybe you have a candle going. However, if you don't, you have fire in your body. That's what's making your body warm. So you can tune into fire in that way. So fire is also complete space. And then earth. You know, earth is perhaps the more difficult element to think of as space. That's all the solid things that you see around you and in your own bones, teeth, so on. It's the denser element. So all of that earth that you have around you, that's the walls, the earth itself that's under you. All that is space. And in the text, it uses the word zok. So kind of like perfected by or completed by. So it's almost like the perfect experience of the elements is as not different than the expanse of the sky. Yeah. Okay, then what? Tikpa tsir ni ati yoga tsok. So Tikpa means yana, or sort of like level. You know, we have the 9 yanas, or the the 4 yanas, or the 3 yanas. It doesn't actually say 9 yanas. He put that in the translation. He said the 9 vehicles. That's another way to translate yana. Have their root in Ati Yoga. So, literally, what this says is Tikpe Sar. So, sorry, Tikpe Tser. So that the peak of the yanas, Ati Yoga, is perfected, or is perfected as the peak. In other words, Ati Yoga is the peak of all the yanas. That's what he's saying. So he's used the word zok twice already, and he's going to use it again now. So it was at the end of the line about the 5 elements. So zok means complete or perfect. And then it's at the end of this line, Tikpe Serni Ati Yoga Dzog. So it's perfected as peak of the 9, well, it doesn't say 9, just says yanas. And then the next line is Dusam Sanjay. So the Buddhas of the 3 times, Sanjay's Buddha, and Dusam means 3 times, which would be past, present, and future. And so, okay, so what is the Buddhas of the 3 times? And then again, it has the word Tser, which means peak, Ni Changshupsem Suzok. So it has Zok at the end, and then Changshupsem. So it's saying that the peak of the Buddhas of the 3 times is Changshupsem. In other words, that Changshupsem, or the enlightened mind, or that our true nature, our already perfect, completely awake nature, is the peak of the Buddhas of the 3 times, or is completed by or complete in the Buddhas of the 3 times. And then the next line begins with the word Changchupsem. Changchupsem. I just want to break that down a little bit, the Tibetan. Chang means to purify, Chang. And then chup is to obtain. So you're purifying delusion and you're obtaining the true nature. Sem, mind. But remember, Dzogchen, this isn't the same meaning as Mahayana. It's about the primordial nature of perfection, the already perfectness. Nothing to fix, nothing to attain. So Changchupsem Tok. Dzogchen Sanjayin. Okay, so Changchupsem Tok, to realize Changchupsem, and then Dzogchen, it's the actual word Dzogchen, Sanjayin. So the nature of mind, and the one before we had that the Dusam Sanjay, the peak of the Dusam Sanjay, or the 3 Buddhas, is the perfect Changchupsem. And I was saying Changchupsem Tok. Tok is a word for realize. You know, when you actually realize something, you're not meditating on it anymore. You know it. You've realized it. It's part of you. So Tokpa, Changchupsem Tok, Dzogchen Sanjayin. So the last word is yin, and that means is. So is what? So here you have the idea that Changchupsem is the great perfection, and the Buddha, or the great perfection of the Buddha, is Changchupsem. So this is really interesting because it's taking these things that we think of as external and superior to us, such as the Buddhas of the three times, and saying that Changchup Sem, which we all have, we all participate in it, even the tiniest insect on a piece of grass has it. That is the Buddha. It's the perfect Buddha. And this word for Buddha also has a similar meaning to Changchup Sem, Sang meaning purify, and Je means to develop. So the word for Buddha can also mean enlightenment. So it could mean the enlightenment of Dzogchen, the realization, Tokpa, of the enlightenment of Dzogchen is Changchup Sem. Okay, so then it starts getting into effortlessness. And the first word in the next phrase is soul, and that means effort or endeavor. Soul, drup, me. So drup is to attain. So attained without effort. Pa. Soul, drup, me par. So without effort, attained. Sem, ni. Mind itself. Sem, ni, itself. Sanjayin is Buddha, is enlightenment. So the mind itself, without effort, is Buddha. That's amazing. Think about that. So if you can really rest your mind without effort, that is Buddha. So let's just try that. Try that effortless awareness. Of the awareness that's already perfect and present. Yeah. Okay. Then the next line is Sem la ta'u mepa. So mepa always means not. And so it's saying the mind, sem, la, ta means like limit or edge. And then u is center. So the mind has no center and no edge. That's something that I find very powerful, because I think when we think about this or we conceptualize it, we tend to think it's centered in us, right? That this awakeness is somehow, its main base is here in our own body or our own presence, but it doesn't have a center and it doesn't have an edge. We participate in it, but it's not centered in us. Okay. So that's not the whole line. So then, umepa is Ta umepa, not having the center of the edge. And then dalwa, dalwa means spreading. Chembo, great, is. So it's huge. I'm always saying that. I think that's so important to feel into how big it is. It's kind of like when you try to conceive the universe, and apparently they've just discovered a ring around the universe, which I thought was interesting because that means that the universe is a mandala. But it's so vast. Okay. And then Semla Kegak Mepe Mudrup Chemboyen. Okay, so this is we're back to that first one about unborn, unceasing. So it's the Sem, mind, La is itself, K, Gakme, not born, not ceasing. Nudrup means city, Chembo Yin. So knowing that the mind has no birth and no cessation is the great city. Yes, the body is emptiness, literally. That's why the body can dissolve into light at the time of death, because it's already space. And the elements are just the colors of space. And that is the great city, the great power. Okay, then meditation, Gumpa Ja. So that's like kind of like doing meditation. Dharmata, Chuni Di. This Dharmata is the nature of reality, the nature of how things really are, not how we think they are, it's how they actually are. So Sanskrit's Dharmata, and the Tibetan Shuni. So perhaps this morning you've touched on how things really are. That's Dharmata. So there's no other ultimate nature, which is Dharmata, to meditate on than this. There's no other nature of reality to meditate on other than this. Wow. These teachings are so profound. Yeah. The fifth element is space of the four elements. I didn't mention that because that's already is space. So, yes, these teachings are so amazing. So just again, that last line, Gumpaja, the meditating, Chuni Di, Lame. So there's no other ultimate nature to meditate on than this. That's it. So in these weeks between these sessions, then meditate on these teachings. Sit with the things that we touched on today. Walk with them. Talk with them. Cook with them. Just be there. Be there. So that was this yogi named Rishi Bodhicitta. And he received his teaching from Kukaraja, the Lord of the Dogs. And next week, the next time we meet, next week I might not be here because I'm teaching at Blue Spirit, but I might be here. It depends if I can get off and meet with you. In any case, if I'm not, someone else marvelous will be here. Probably more marvelous. But in any case, work with the teachings, and yeah, great to be with you. Happy everything. May you be well. May you be free of fear, and may you see the space in all the elements. Okay, let's dedicate the marriage. That's any positive energy we've accumulated today together. Let's spread that out to all beings. Offer it out. And if you like Lama Live, then give it a thumbs up on YouTube and like it on Facebook and tell your friends. We want to do something that is beneficial. And if you feel like it is, that would be good to know. Okay, everybody. Have a good week.
Thank you so very much, Lama Tsultrim, for this precious time together and the much needed guidance that will continue to inspire us in the week ahead and beyond. Thank you. And thank you, each and every one of you, for making this moment special through your presence. We rejoice in our shared practice and path, celebrating the rich diversity of our Sangha across time zones, cultures, and experiences. I'm excited to share a glimpse of our upcoming programs with a particular highlight, of course, on tomorrow's Dharma Talk with Lopon Carla Jackson Brewer on Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Exploring Radical Bodhicitta marks a poignant inauguration for Tara Mandala's programs in 2024. And over the course of the first weekend of February, we invite you to join a retreat, Surrendering to Chthonic Earth with Dr. Janine Canty. Chthonic is a Greek word meaning of or relating to earth, particularly the underworld. In this weekend retreat, we'll explore our current ecological crisis, eco-psychology, collective narcissism, and how a reunion with the transpersonal realms of Earth may serve as a pathway towards collective healing. And then, on Saturday, February 10th, We invite you to come and explore with Dorje Lapon Charlotte Rotterdam the practical ways in which Buddhist teachings can help us cultivate right speech. In this online day-long contemplative retreat, we will examine how can we bring mindfulness and clarity to our words? How can we evoke the power of sound to speak compassion and wholeness into reality? How might we play with words and silence as a form of spiritual practice? In honor of Tara Mandala's 30th anniversary, we are offering a special introductory rate of $30. If Play of Words is your first program with Tara Mandala, you're invited to apply at this special 30 for you rate as our way of welcoming you. These programs are open to everyone, and I'll provide the links in just a moment. And they are just two of the many enriching opportunities available both online and in person. Explore the full array by visiting our website and keep an eye out for the latest additions to find the best response to what you need on your path right now. In addition, I encourage you to tune in to Lama Tsultrim's podcast, Wisdom Rising, offering a weekly dose of wisdom and guidance for you. Even if you don't have access to any podcast app, you can listen to it through our website or Tara Mandala network. And finally, following the tradition going all the way back to the time of the Buddha 2600 years ago, you have the opportunity to make an offering of Dana to Lama Tsultrim Allione. Dana is a Pali and Sanskrit word that means generosity. Dana directly recognizes the precious gift of the teacher and the teachings, without which one could not practice the Dharma. If you would like to offer Dana, please follow the link you will see in the chat shortly. Thank you all for being a part of this. May we meet again and again on the path, and may all beings benefit everywhere.
Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu Re Mangalam Shri Mahapani Swaha. Om Tare Tu